Hi there. Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here with the series we've been running for the month of March, which is my 31 favorite bands with 2 albums released in the same year. A series we've been running for the entire month, and we are now getting down there. We're down into the, around the 7th band. This band actually this is the second group of albums by them. The first group came out coincidentally last Sunday, and this is coming out this Sunday. These I think are better though, quite a bit better actually, together. One of the albums from the first one was probably my favorite of their albums, but these two together are probably better than both of the other two. So we're talking about Kiss's Destroyer with that iconic cover, and Rock and Roll Over, which has also a very great cover. I love both covers of these albums. Both came out the same year. It was a great year for this band, producing two such well-known and mega albums as Destroyer, released early in the year for 1976, and then later in the year, the Rock and Roll Over, which I personally think is one of their best albums. So Destroyer hasn't stood up as well with me. This has been in other videos that I've had, and I think it's just because it's probably just worn out from, I played this a ton. At one time it was my favorite Kiss album, or pretty close to it, behind Alive. I think it was my favorite studio album by them for sure at one time. Early on, it was an album that I requested my family to buy me, and they gave me the Boston debut. I was massively disappointed, and that Boston debut album stayed inside of the plastic in my closet for 2 years before I finally decided to give it a chance and found out that it's probably the better album of the two. Isn't that always how it is? So anyways, this album has a lot of iconic songs on it from Kiss. The album cover, of course, fantastic. Probably one of their best covers, I would say. So you've got Detroit Rock City, which is their opening track for a lot of their concerts later in their career anyways. It's a song I care never to hear again because it's been overplayed. King of the Nighttime World is a good track, not as overplayed, and therefore I don't have as much of an issue with it. God of Thunder, this is the Gene Simmons fire breathing. Actually, I think it's the blood spitting one. This is the blood spitting song, God of Thunder. And then Great Expectations, which I always thought was a bit of a weak track on this album, but nevertheless, I'm used to it now. Flaming Youth and Sweet Pain, nice combo, very different. Flaming Youth has got a little bit of keyboards in it too, which is not something Kiss did a lot of, at least not at that stage of the game. But they did have a lot of orchestral stuff on here altogether, produced by Bob Ezrin, of course, as well. Sweet Pain, heavy song, great Gene Simmons song, maybe his best on the album here. You got the iconic Shout It Out Loud, which is kind of, to me, like Rock and Roll All Night, Party Every Day. I don't want to hear either of those again. Beth is the one ballad that they put out, at least early on, and it's a good ballad. I always liked it because my first girlfriend, her name was Elizabeth, so I always liked that name for that reason. And then Do You Love Me, which is, to me, the underrated track on the album, and fantastic tune. Rock and Roll Over, no less great, maybe better in some ways. To me, it's more of a rockin' album. That Destroyer was more of a production. This one is a little bit more rockin', and I do like that quite a bit more. Maybe their last really kind of hard rockin' album from that time period. I Want You, that soaring guitar thing at the front, really good. Take Me is a good song. Calling Dr. Love, Gene Simmons this may be his best album for songs, with Calling Dr. Love and Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, which are both fantastic tunes. Ladies' Room, another heavy, well-known track by them. Baby Driver, this is one of Peter Criss's best vocal songs, I think. Mr. Speed, another heavy rocker here. Making Love, which is absolutely killer on this particular album, but I think I like it better on Alive too as well. And then you've got the another kind of ballady song, Hard Luck Woman, which I think is the better of the two ballads, but doesn't get as much notoriety, but still gets quite a bit. Some some musicians have also covered this song. So yeah, excellent album. Very, very meaningful album, I think. And maybe at their height of their powers rate on these two albums, height of their powers, maybe the best band of that year. Certainly ranked up there in the top bands of all time because of these two particular albums. So we got Kiss Destroyer early on in 76, Rock and Roll Over a little bit later in the year. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to make comments about the two Kiss albums, Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over, you can. If you want to talk about Kiss the band, you can. If you got anything else you want to make comments or anything I've said that you want to make comments about, you can. And we will see you tomorrow morning for another album. So have yourself a good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and goodbye.